So basically what I wanted to get this out to, I want to talk, my background, I'm Jim Morgan with Caring Transitions. I am going to also be playing the dual role of Renee Anderson with Caring Transitions today. She's stuck at a job site where I'll play that role as well. I'm not nearly as cute, but we'll have to deal with that, okay? But why I want these panels to exist, why I want to bring them to you, is I've been a consumer in the senior market for 13 years. I've been a vendor for like 8 months. Okay, so I'm seeing where there's holes as far as getting information out to consumers about all the different things that are available. Because I was out there feeling my way through the dark, making all kinds of mistakes because I didn't know what was really available to us, okay? So that's why I want to bring, all these people are bringing a totally different perspective and a different area of expertise and different things that they can take care of. So I want to start off, and I'll just start with you, our hostess, Janelle. Would you want to introduce yourself, a little bit about the community, all the things you do, and we'll go through, it's kind of like our introduction across the panel, and then we'll go to questions, okay?
So I'm Janelle. I apologize for my late entrance. Been a little busy today. I am the sales rep here at Carmel Senior Living. We offer independent living, assisted living, and memory care. We have all-day dining as well. We're running a fall special through the end of the month where we save $400 in assisted living and $500 in memory care. So it's a great time to get folks moved in before the winter weather hits. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Jack Barlow with AmRamp of Indiana. What I provide is accessibility. So a lot of times people want to stay in their home, but they can't get into their bathtub, they can't get up their steps. We provide ramps, provide grab bars, we provide vertical platform lifts, stair lifts, really about whatever you need to be able to stay into your house. Or if you're looking to downsize and you want to go to another house, there are times where people say, I love this house, but I can't get in it. So that's what I'm here for.
Hi, my name is Kevin Monahan. Excuse me, I've been talking all day, so bear with me. I'm with Hoosier Health Solutions, specialize in all things Medicare. So this is our busy time of year, helping people navigate through Medicare open annual election period, looking at their drug plan, their supplement, their Advantage plan, helping them find vision and dental coverage, filling in the holes that Medicare leaves behind. We're not working for one insurance company, we work for you. We're contracted with all the insurance companies so we can find a plan that best fits our customers' need and not just promote, one plan or one product or one company. So that's me.
Good afternoon. My name is Lucy Kyrie. I'm an attorney, and among the areas of law in which our practice concentrates are elder law and estate planning, both of which dovetail with one another in order to assist families to determine whether or not they would be eligible and to apply for, should they be eligible, for VA aid and attendance pension benefits, which would be appropriate for this type of facility, and or Medicaid and Medicaid waiver. And we have helped numerous families through the years, both single individuals and married couples. And we also work in the area of special needs trusts and supplemental needs trusts, both of which are appropriate for the Medicaid situations.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Lynn Salem with Guardian Angel Hospice, and we specialize in caring for those who have a life-limiting illness, whether that be pediatric all the way through the elderly. We help those in their home, wherever it is they call home, whether that is assisted living, a single dwelling residence, whether that's in a hospital at that point in time, whether that's in a long-term care campus. We have nursing staff that comes in. We have home health aides that come in. Welcome. We have home health aides that come in. We have social workers that come in, as well as chaplains. We're paid for by Medicare, Medicaid, and most private insurances. But at Guardian Angel, we don't turn anyone away because of their inability to pay. We are actually a locally owned and operated organization. We're owned here just in Indiana by a group of 5 individuals. So we're able to do the sliding fee scale and take care of those who need us to come in.
Hi, my name is Kathy Pellman, and I'm with an organization called Stillwater's Adult Day Center. And we're another alternative for people as they age. And primarily we serve families who are looking to care for an older family member in their home, whether it would be a spouse or an adult child or some other family member. And we provide a place for those folks to stay during the day and then return to their homes in the evening. We have 2 locations on the east side of Indianapolis, and we operate as a not-for-profit organization, and we are actually sponsored by a Methodist church in the area. The adult day programs are probably the least known of any form of care because there are fewer of us than there are other types of organizations. And we think we offer a couple really good benefits. One is that we do help people stay in their own homes, like a lot of the other services you'll hear about. But we do then couple that with the benefit of being in a social environment where there's lots of activities, things to do, socialization, a place to make friends, do crafts, and all those kinds of wonderful things that we have learned recently are very beneficial, especially to people who have dementia. And then the third thing that we offer that we think is pretty important is that we're probably the most cost-effective form of care out there, because instead of paying for 24-hour care, you're paying for the hours you're there. And because we're in a group setting, it's less costly than having somebody come to your home and do care one-on-one.
Hi, I'm Gail Pfeiffer. I'm with Advocate Care Management. I am a geriatric care manager. So as a care manager, I go into the home and do an assessment with the client and the family to determine their needs. Do they need assistance in the home? Does the home need modification? Is the home no longer appropriate? Do they need a new home? And at what level? And how does it meet the needs of the client and family? Location, cost, skill level, how are the reviews in those areas? As an RN, I also look at their health needs. Are they being met? Are they compliant? Are there healthcare needs that are not being met? The example I can give you, I had a new client that his wife had just passed. He had mild dementia, he had hearing loss, he had macular degeneration, and he had a catheter. So with him and his family, we worked with the facility he was living in to assist him. I took him to a new urologist. We were able to get rid of the catheter because he had an enlarged prostate. So he had surgery. He thought I was God then. So that was one thing down pat. It was great. Took him to a macular specialist. We were not able to reverse any of his vision loss, but we were able to slow down the progress through injections. Hearing, took him to a new hearing specialist, and we were able to adjust his hearing aids so that he could be in a dining room and not sit in the corner by himself because he couldn't accommodate the noise level. So we got that, and he was able to socialize more. So between the hearing and the vision, that helped slow down his dementia. And as he progressed, we progressed with what his needs were. We eventually got him with a hospice unit. We did have to have him go to a secure unit because he was wandering, but I was with him for 5 years, and it was a great experience.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dave Holder. I'm the franchise owner of Assisted Living Locators. I am a resource to family and seniors looking to make the transition from their home to independent assisted living or memory care communities. I work directly with the families, provide options, resources, get to understand exactly what their needs are, accompany them on tours, and it's a no-cost service.
Hi, I'm Lynn Albrecht. I'm with Remax Ability Plus here in Carmel, and I work with families. A lot of times I'll do multiple visits with the family because they're just starting to talk about what they're gonna do with the family home. And one of the elements that I think is really important when a family is starting to look at their options as far as the family home is understanding all the dynamics that go into that. That not only are the family that's living there, mom and dad, say, dealing with change, but also the kids, the siblings. There's just a lot of memories in a home, and so I specialize in really kind of walking through all of that with the families and understanding that you're not just selling the home, you're selling the memories, and having to make all those changes is really a large decision and a hard decision. A lot of times I have gone through this in the past 3 to 4 years with lots of changes with my own parents, and I think it's really crucial that you have to focus on not just the financial aspect of it, but I would say the spiritual and the mental, and so we work to really help families through that with the packing process, with contractors, with whatever the needs are. So I think it's kind of an all-family decision sometimes, and so I really try to work with the families to get to know them and let them know that we're a team, and we will make this as seamless as possible and work to really just love on them and help ease the pain, I guess, of the move. And so that's it.
Jim Morgan, or Renee Anderson, I'm not sure which I am, but anyway, with Caring Transitions, and we basically take the deer in the headlight looks out of people's eyes. It's really kind of what a lot of what our job is to do. I have been personally, I know when we moved my in-laws, it took me 16 months to get that house cleaned out and get done because we were the sandwich generation where we had kids in traveling sports. I had them in, the reason that my mother-in-law had to go to assisted care is she fell all the time and they had to get the ambulance to come pick her up, but my father-in-law couldn't. That was happening like twice a week. And we're going, you can't do that an hour and a half away from us, that's just not working. So she came down, well, she still fell all the time, but now she was in assisted care, so we had to go to emergency rooms about 2 or 3 nights a week. So it was very difficult. So it took us 16 months to clean out that house. My mom's, they've been there 50 years. It was quite an adventure. By the way, there's also a 50 by 72 pole barn full of stuff. And in one corner of it, Dad had bought a tandem axle box truck to put the good stuff. So that was 60 days of pedal to the metal. My uncle, when I moved him, I did not know that I was setting him up for failure. I thought that I was an expert at this point. He had a medical issue. He couldn't stay in an upstairs apartment, which I've been trying to get him out of for 10 years anyway. But we moved him downstairs, literally same end of the building, same parking spot, nothing changed, that he'd been in, but except for the unit he was in. A lot of times that move is such a traumatic move for an elder. They've been in that home forever. It's like they say it is psychologically as much as the death of the immediate family. It was for him, and we set him up for failure. We didn't know it, okay? We had no idea we were setting him up for failure, but we did. And we fell off deep end. I mean, it was touch and go, okay, for about 90 days. And then we were able to, the next time we moved, because we got him down, but I didn't finish the job, okay? There were still some boxes that weren't unpacked, and stuff he wasn't going to use anyway. And there was, the pictures went on the wall, and I am a Halloween bachelor every year. My wife is the head makeup artist for the Indy Scream Park. So every night from mid-September till the first weekend of November, I don't see her. She's up there making ghouls and goblins and blood and gore, okay? So we were going to get it fixed after. Well, by then he was already in serious jeopardy. When we moved in the second time, this time we did an unveiling, which is what we do at Caring Transitions. We do the store, the pack. All the people are employees. They're all background checked. They're all we are going to find valuables. We're going to probably find cash because we go through all the books. We go through all the pockets. You're going to, when I was doing my in-laws, when I learned a lesson, I was getting ready to throw a whole big stack of newspapers that were sitting at the end of the couch and found the deed in there to their house. So that means you have to go through everything. We just did a house where we found $75,000 in custom jewelry that no one in the family knew about, and none of it was in a jewelry box. So we need to have people there that are going to do that, fine tooth sort, and then hand that to the family or to the individuals. Find the documents. We do the move, we undo the other place. When they come to the other place, we do an unveiling. It's all finished. It's just like they walked into their old house, okay? We do sorts, we do the online auctions, we do estate sales, we do clean outs. You tell us what you need, we get it done. That's really what it comes down to. When we get that deer in the headlight look out of your face, you don't have to deal with it. That's what we do. Questions for our panelists so far? Let's get started there. Anyone? Okay, please.
I'll ask about granny flats. Are you guys familiar with those? And has zoning passed in Carmel or in Indianapolis for the granny flats?
I know Bloomington has done some measures to move in that direction, and I had read that Fishers was contemplating it, but as far as whether they have or not, I don't know.
Now, when you define granny flats, are you talking about like
Accessory.
condos, or what do you?
They're
Tiny
they're
homes.
tiny homes, kind of like Mitch Daniels' daughter has done the little tiny homes for
Right.
those rentals. But this is for granny flats where they actually, I think, will build them. I don't know if they're already built or if it's they just bring them into your yard. So I didn't know if anyone had the experience with that in terms of zoning, cost, benefits, if it's, you can rent them for 3 years.
Those
Are you
are the things.
referring to like caregivers being able to bring that into their yard and care for their loved one in that situation?
Instead of building into the home.
Right. I just don't know if anyone had that experience or knows anything.
It's going to be an interesting question. I think it's something that's coming, but I think that we're going to have to apply pressure to city councils because the way zoning is currently, it's going to be very challenging until there's zoning regulations to make it. Out in the country, it would be no big deal, but in a neighborhood, it would be very challenging. You're with Tucker, right? So would you agree with this?
Fishers would be the place to at least get some information.
On top of which, if there's a necessity to spend funds for Medicaid, for example, if the family does do a build out or does some kind of improvement for a grandmother or some kind of grandmother suite or grandfather suite or something inside of their home, that is an appropriate spend down if the person lives there for a specific period of time and is not considered a gift.
I'm actually going to a seminar tomorrow on tiny homes, kind of for that reason, because I've had a few clients ask me about it that are looking for property to even do that with their parents. And from what I can tell, at least like around here, it is tough to get the zoning, and a lot of it is safety reasons, because at least what I've read is because of if there is a need for an ambulance or fire truck or something, it's usually what zoning would allow them to do is put it more hidden, basically, so then you have to do a separate driveway, there has to be a way to get in and get out. And that's kind of what I think the pushback has been a lot in higher dense areas.
I know there's been several companies that have converted garages into granny apartments.
Outside buildings unattached to the house, you might have a lot of problems with the property owner associations, where it's against the bylaws to have an outbuilding.
Yeah. And then you got utilities, you got to bring utilities to it, you got to bring the plumbing to it. Those are great idea. I don't know what all the moving parts will have to be. Like I was saying, go to your city council. That would be your first place I would go. So yeah. Anything else? I have questions that I'll ask if you don't have them. Yeah. Well, I'll go right now. Hospice. Okay. I think it's probably the most misunderstood part of this industry. I had no idea what it was. I just knew that it was something you were afraid of, type thing. I had no idea what it really did and what, the people actually graduate off hospice.
They absolutely do. There are a lot of residents who we have who, with the care, the one-on-one care that they are getting with individuals, they are no longer meeting the criteria that Medicare has set forth for them to be on hospice services. As it is a Medicare benefit, Part A pays for it 100%. That includes all medications related to the diagnosis, all DME, which is durable medical equipment related to the diagnosis, and the visits. That people get better because you're coming in for meal prep, you're coming in for assistance with feeding them, you're coming in, the nurse is coming in at least twice a week. So having that person that they're looking forward to and that they are now getting up and out of bed because they're showered because, well, the nurse is coming, I better get ready and I have a visitor, or the home health aide is coming. It does allow people to get better, whether that be mentally, physically, spiritually. As Leanne was saying, you just do have a lot of people who decide that it is a...
I had something put to me the other day that I really liked this terminology on it, because I always heard hospice and it's like, well, I'm going to die next week.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what I think. I think that is perceptive within the industry, I think, or the community. What I heard made so much sense to me. The way she phrased it was that when you're going to the doctor or to the hospital, they are trying to treat and cure something.
Yes.
When you have something that's not curable, okay, whether it's long-term or what have you, they really can't do much for you. Whereas hospice treats symptoms as opposed to the cause, so they increase your quality of life. Maybe you can go play golf more, maybe you can do things that you wouldn't have been able to do. I had never heard that explained like that to me. I'm like, people need to know about this.
We have individuals who still want to work their part-time job because they enjoy it. And it's not that they need to or have to, but there are a lot of individuals who just, they want to go on that vacation. They want to work that part-time job. They still want to play cards every week with their buddies at the card shop. And they want us to do our visit there instead of visiting at home. Hospice is really very individualized. And so when you say that quality of life, hospice really does bring that to the next level of care. You do have a lot when you're doing chemo or radiation, or you have a pulmonology or a heart issue or a lung issue. Sometimes they're looking for that next cure or that next level of care, and hospice is truly just another level of care. It's not you just sign up and they start morphine and all of these things and then you pass away the next day. Hospice is no longer like that. It is a very holistic approach to what those individuals need.
Thank you. I was totally uninformed. I didn't understand what that was, and it is so much more than what I thought it was. On our VA and Medicaid and Medicaid waiver and all this kind of stuff, again, I think that what's out in the community, maybe everyone here knows better than this. I didn't, so I was doing stupid things. I was told by with my in-laws, when I did the senior living place where they moved into, I was told specifically we had to spend down all that money before they could get any kind of assistance. I was basically put in such a manner that I believed that if we let them get to Medicaid, we had failed them, okay, type thing. So we were working our butt off to try to save every dime of it. I didn't know, had no idea how you could perfect that. So we ended up paying for 2 funerals out of pocket. We literally didn't know the rules. Those rules had changed in the 80s. This was not the 80s, so I was given bad information. Would you explain about some of the things about 5-year look back, 3-year look backs, and then what can even be done if, oh gosh, I missed my look back, and how we can protect the spousal? Because I've had 2 people this year that are friends of mine consider getting a divorce because one of them was either going to go into a long-term situation, and they were trying to protect family assets, and I'm like, oh God, please don't do that, but the world doesn't know, so could you tell the world?
Well, it's of course a very vast subject, like all the subjects.
Just a brief discussion.
But I think just to answer some of the specific questions, Medicaid is a federal and state program. So when a person receives a Medicaid benefit, it is a means-tested program which you must be eligible for and then apply for. And when you do that, you have to prove that you are eligible. It's not just, oh, I only have $2,000. You have to prove it. So that's one thing. So if you apply, and if the person who is the applicant or his spouse or her spouse, if they are married, if they have given gifts of a significant nature 5 years prior to the date of their application, it is their responsibility, if they're doing it themselves, or the responsibility of the attorney, if they have an elder law attorney who's helping them, to report those gifts and to determine whether or not there is a penalty period. What is that? You look back 5 years from the date of your application, and then you take the number, the value of the gifts that you've given, you divide them by something that's known as the divisor, which this year is, it's always, the state of Indiana gives it to you, but right now, today, it's $6,682. So if you have given away $50,000, you divide it by 6682, you get a number, that's how many months and days you have to pay, privately pay, in a facility or an assisted living facility, or if you're getting in-home care through Medicaid waiver, then you would have to privately pay until you work through that penalty period. So that's the look back, that's the penalty period. But there's a lot of in-between stuff. I think the best way to do it is to give you an example. It is one just today. I got a call from, actually an email at 11 o'clock Wednesday night, and he said, oh, this is from another attorney. He said, oh, this client of mine has XYZ, and the client was copied, and I responded. And basically, mom has two things. She has a car, which is an exempt asset. You're allowed to have a car if you're on Medicaid. Even if you're not driving it, you're allowed to have a car. Number two, she has personal property, furniture, clothing, dishes, whatever. Pretty much an exempt asset unless you've got Picassos and 20-carat diamond rings and things of that nature. So she has nothing, but she just inherited from her stepmother $30,000. So she's $28,000 over what she's allowed to have in order to be eligible for Medicaid, because you can only have $2,000 if you're single. If you're a couple and you're both applying, you can only have $1,500 each. So in this case, she's a single person, divorced or deceased husband. And so the people said, oh, we're going to have the nursing home do it. They'll do it for us. Wrong. What would happen if you go to a nursing home and they're going to do your Medicaid application? Well, they will either wait till you have nothing, or they won't do the application right so that you're still privately paying because you're never going to be eligible because they don't know how to do it.
I will tell you that I didn't know anything about attorney, why we needed an attorney or anybody told me that. I saw it as an expense, and we were trying to take every penny together. So I don't know if I told this, but my father-in-law, when I was trying to get his VA, he kept getting rejected and sent back for 16.
Because you didn't have Lucy?
Yeah.
Somebody else
For
qualified.
16 months, I was fighting with them, okay? And I was so frustrated. In fact, I think my father-in-law died before we got this done. And one day a ding came back because an eye was thought the wrong way or whatever, and I was furious. And my son was the campaign manager for Dan Burton, Congressman Dan Burton. So I called Dan and go, what can be done? And 24 hours later, I had the money, okay? And I'm going, you shouldn't have to know a congressman.
It
This
shouldn't
is
be that difficult, because not everyone has the privilege of knowing a congressman.
Exactly.
And there are normal people just running around who need these benefits, who need Lucy, who need, people in their resources in their life that can help them. There's so many resources that people have no idea about.
That's why these panels exist, okay?
Yeah.
And one final comment about divorcing. You do not need to be divorced to get on Medicaid if you're a couple, all right? But I personally don't do them, but I recommend, I use divorce attorneys because that's not what I do, to do illegal separations. Why do we do illegal separation? There's only a few cases in which we need to do them. And that's when the spouse who's going into a facility or who's applying for Medicaid or Medicaid waiver has something called a qualified benefit, an IRA, a 401k, a 403b, IRA SEP, things of that nature. Those things you cannot transfer to your community spouse, the spouse who's not applying, unless you do a legal separation, not a divorce, a legal separation, and then you do a quadro, qualified domestic relations order, that transfers that qualified asset to the community spouse without any tax implications.
I will tell you, back to your concerns here, one of the things that I would tell you, with my uncle when it was time to, when I was dealing with his VA, my son goes, my lodge brother, a good buddy of mine's an elder attorney. I really didn't know what elder attorneys did, okay, but I contacted him. Oh my God, the best money I've ever spent my entire life, okay? And got things done like that. And if you look at, I am now trustee, I'm guardian, I'm all these POA, depends on who I'm talking to. I have 6 accounts that money goes in and out of, and it's, and a lot of just, it's set up. I don't even understand what it is. So whatever I need, so I go, Jeff, and he walks me through this process again. What I'm saying is, that's why I want these panels. I can tell you that there's so much stuff out there that you just don't know, you don't know. So anybody else have, yes?
Maybe Gail or maybe Jack, I'm in a situation where both parents are living in the same house and they want to stay in the house. How do you do an assessment for whether or not, okay, do they need to, I know that for us, we're concerned about the stairs and whatever. And so at what point do you then okay, we need to act on this?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do. I come in and do an assessment. I observe the gait. I observe their weight, their medication, their health situation. I also do a mental assessment. Are they having memory lapses? Are they compliant with their medications? Are they safe to cook and eat? If they want to remain in the home, how can we adapt the home or get them assistance in the home to keep them there? What needs to be done? Is it realistic? Is it safe? If they're upstairs, can we make them a room downstairs so the stairs are not an issue? And can we, eliminate that? Are they safe to drive? I have an OT that is a certified driving assessor, and she will do everything from eye exams, and she will go, God love her, she will go with them driving and determine, okay, are they safe to drive? If so, what time of day, what type of roads? Is there a limit? And she gets to be the bad or good person and say, okay, you're no longer safe to drive. And these are the reasons why. So it's not the kids. But it's an assessment that helps us, and we have the data to show them if they're mentally able to understand, and or the family, so that this is what we need to do to make the home safe, to make you safe. Get rid of the throw rugs, put some grab bars in, unplug the stove, use the microwave, little things like that to make it safer. Maybe have meals delivered.
But they would have to agree to this, to the assessment.
I have had clients that have introduced me as their friend, and in those situations, I usually spend half an hour to an hour with them and just do a friend, and then I will come back and say, I'm starting this business. Could I try it on you? And it depends. I know, sneaky little woman. But you have to, I don't do
Well, that's no
my,
different than buying back and selling or buying back and selling. Same thing.
I don't do my assessment all in one one day, because number one, they're not going to trust me to tell me some of their financial situations, some of their medical history. They're not going to feel comfortable just meeting me. So I usually, it's a 2 or 3 visit to gain the trust, to gather the information so that I can assist them.
Do you have
And I
specific
don't-
concerns, or are you just kind of thinking ahead? I mean, are you?
This is more thinking ahead.
It is.
They have stairs, and they're having, my mom's having difficulty getting up the stairs.
I mean,
She can do it, so we're thinking of, you know.
Well, yeah, and what I can do for you is, there's no charge. I can come out, take a look, talk to you, discuss with them, show you different options. You know, instead of not using the stairs anymore, we have chairs, chair lifts, stair lifts that you can do. And we even have some where you can actually, if it gets to the point she has a wheelchair, well, people are like, okay, I go upstairs, now I don't have the wheelchair, what am I gonna do? We actually have them that you can wheelchair onto a ramp, and it'll go up the stairs. So that once you're up there, then you're still in your wheelchair, you can go wherever you want. You wanna go back downstairs, just get back on it, hit the button, and you go down. I did what they call CAPS, Certified Aging in Place Specialist, and went through training for that to know how to do that and how to help people. You know, bathrooms are really a big issue. I come out, I'll show you what we can do. There's no charge for me to show you what we can do. We have what we call super poles that it's a tension pole that's up and down that elderly people can hold on to so they can raise themselves up, and it pivots so they can move around. And I was talking to a company in Canada, and they say it's big in the kitchens. The people, I never even thought about that, but they use them in kitchens. So there's a lot of options that we can do for you. We can just talk, like taking away the rugs, you know, that kind of thing. It's knobs, you know, instead of having knobs on everything, you want to go to a lever. Because knobs, eventually, nobody can use a knob. So those are all things that I would just suggest for you. There's no charge for it, and see what we can do.
Do you do the little elevators?
We don't do elevators, we do the vertical platform lifts that are raised up, but we don't do actual elevators.
Because they have some real small elevators,
Yeah,
you know,
I
like
mean,
the size
smaller
of a
than a
table.
Yeah.
So I have twofold. My name is Laura Gusty. I'm with First Light Home Care. And so we are not a health care agency, but home care, so it's personal and companion. And we do a 7-step assessment. And at the very end, we even have an outside company that calls them up to make sure they're okay. So it's a similar assessment to what you're doing, and sometimes that just, we don't let them know exactly the same situation, and they do keep evaluating and have to go back because over time it changes if they want to age in place. So I think it's safe to say everyone here has had a little bit of experience in what you're going through, and that there are a lot of ways to make sure that your parents are safe at home. My second, that was just a response, but my question is, a lot of times when people talk about doing this, I have a client currently, her son wants to put in the bath for her because that's how she fell and it's upstairs, blah, blah, blah. And she doesn't want to do that because she's scared of how that will affect the resale of her home. So I don't know who wants to take that to the next level.
I don't know, I don't know of any buddy that's actually lost value by putting something in. Now, if you put in $8,000, are you going to get $8,000 more out of your house? Probably not.
That was kind of my answer to her. I said, I think if it keeps you safe and you want to be here, you're healthy otherwise, other than if you had not had this fall, and you plan to be here a minimum of 5 years, you aren't
It's
going
paid for itself.
It's paid for itself, and I don't think somebody in today's world, even though her concern was the neighborhood is turning over to be younger people again. And so are they going to want a bath that's like that? I said, really, why not? What does it hurt? It helps little kids have fallen and cracked their tooth, and you know, there's all kinds of things. And then one more question for you. Does insurance pay for some of those
I'm
things?
sorry to tell you, I've not come across any insurance yet that does it. Now, workman's comp, if somebody's hurt, workman's comp, they will do a lot for you.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm not.
Some long-term insurances will.
Yeah, if you bought
If they
one.
have one of the excellent ones, some of the long-term insurances will.
Okay.
Anthem, I think Anthem is, I think it's Anthem, they'll do
So I'm-
$500.
Yeah, on the value added, Anthem started it this year and are continuing it for 2020. They will do $500 a year towards assisted devices, ramps,
Yeah.
lifts, walkers, shower bars, the pivot bars, things like that.
That is good to know.
And it's just, it's a value added in their plan. They don't consider it a benefit because it's not covered by Medicare, but it's a value added service that is included in their plans.
And as you're aware, that's the only company today.
It is.
Anthem.
Yes, it is.
And is that with their Part B supplement?
No, it's only on the Advantage plans.
Only on the Advantage plans? Interesting.
I was gonna add too, my background, I'm an OT and a care manager, but before I think you go to get a ramp and you put all these things in place, you know, if they were my parents, I would want the physical therapy and occupational therapists to come out first. They're the professionals who evaluate mobility and ADLs. I would get a baseline from that, take that evaluation, and then that evaluation can be given to a care manager, and then they can further assess and see if you really need a ramp, can they manipulate that, can they take that up the steps. So I think that's, if there's been a change in condition, or you're worried about that, I think starting at that level first to get a good report, and utilizing that report for all the services that they provide.
If there has not been a change in condition, though, it would be private pay. And you're looking at a minimum 150 just for them to come. Whereas like, I can do a screening, and if there's a need, then we can get the doctor to give orders, and we can get it covered with a home care agency.
I think I want to add too, because I went through this with my parents, and we did have someone come in and evaluate, and I was amazed at the questions they asked that I didn't think to ask. Nor do I think my parents might have shared with me. I've been honest, because they were so afraid of having been, that's true.
And I'm really glad that you say that, because the one thing that Gail said that is a takeaway from this is it takes you out of being that person who's taking away the keys, saying you can't do this or you can't do this, or we're worried about you. Instead, you're bringing someone, like you said, to ask those questions that they may just not tell you.
As just an onlooker, I guess, but you're having a wonderful time among yourselves. Maybe I won't tell you how old I am, but I'm extremely independent as my children. I'm widowed. I'm currently living in a condo, which I own. But when my husband passed away and I was left with all the financial things, which I had merrily ignored for 55 years because I didn't want to do those books. I can do them, I just don't like to. But here I sit, and then I began to find out, well, here's an insurance policy over here, I never knew that. Here's an annuity over here, he never told me of that. And most of it, by the time he died, was put into a revocable trust. But there's little pieces here and there. Now I'm thinking, I better run for cover at my age. I can't argue with statistics. And so I'm thinking of moving into a progression, independent, assisted, whatever comes, I don't know what's coming. But who do I go to and how do I get all these little financial pieces put together? And how do I really realize how much I can afford to pay for my independent, assisted, whatever?
It's a good thing to do that before you make that leap. And I work with a couple of financial planners.
See, I've got to know before I make anything.
Yeah,
Before I even
exactly.
look, because I can't walk in a place and say, oh, it's lovely, but I can't afford it. I incidentally most of my
Dave, would you like to, this is ready.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I would talk to a financial planner and get all of those ducks in a row.
Well, where do I find one that's not going to walk away with half my assets? I'm
Are
sorry.
you volunteering too fast?
I'm sorry if I step on people's toes, but all I know is listening to the TV, reading, God help us to start, and the reports that I get. And that's all I know, that's all I know to know.
If you're going to work with a financial planner, you want to typically get someone who's a CFP, Certified Financial Planner. The difference between a CFP and a non-CFP is that they must take your best interest first, not theirs, yours. That is, they have a fiduciary responsibility to you or whoever their client is. And if they're not a CFP, they don't have that fiduciary responsibility. So if you look for the CFP behind somebody's name, that person has to take your best interest first. Now, are they good? That you have to go and talk to them. They're not going to charge you to talk to them, but I would certainly try to meet with a CFP. And I know Gail knows someone. I know tons of people who do that kind of work.
Talk to your friends too.
And talk to your friends.
That you
Or you people at church.
No, I don't have any of that resource.
The regulations for supervision of them, since all that stuff in the news is tightened down, and they have to have reports and they have to be open for audits.
Also, a few years ago, there was a rule change in the financial industry, and certain organizations, some of which are banks that sell financial products, opted not to enter into the agreement which stated we have to have we bank or so-and-so has to have a fiduciary responsibility to the client. So anything that was, any organization that did not sign into that, I got my clients out of. Because you want to be somewhere, and anyone would think that they would want to be there too, is you want to work with people who have your best interest first. And there have been a lot of issues in the financial industry, and that's why they've been trying to come out with these things where they have to take your best interest.
How do you find that list?
Well, CFP is, well, how do you find that list? Well, I think you can go somewhere on Treasury. I can find out where you go to see. I mean, I got notices.
Yeah.
I got notices from banks or organizations where my clients had assets, and when I read through it, and you have to read through it pretty carefully, and they can opt in or opt out, and a lot of these places opted out. And I said, great, opt out, work, bye.
One thing I was going to say before you, you were talking about the financial side, you were also talking about how do you figure out where side and what the prices are, and that is overwhelming. I know from our family, I understand that there are families out there that plan all this stuff way out in advance and they just kind of do it. In our family, that would be a unicorn. Our family was denial, 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 argument, crisis. We have to deal with it now, okay? So that was at least the way we did it every time. But
And you are 99.9% right.
and I was just going to say, Dave, what Dave does is helps. I would have loved to have known you, before. Explain what you do, because I don't think people even know such a thing exists,
Yeah, so I would sit down and kind of go through a 4-step process where I want to learn, what you're looking for, from the obvious to location to amenities. We talk about what are your long-term goals, what's your health like, what kind of care you're looking for now, and then the financial picture. And based on that, I'd make 3 recommendations and talk to you about why I made those recommendations. We look at the state surveys, make sure we go into this eyes wide open, and then I go on the tour with you and help you organize that, make sure you understand all of those things, and help you boil down to make a decision. Talk to your financial planner too, let you know where we're,
If I
Right.
have one.
yeah, we'll find one, get one.
One of the things though, you don't want to plan it a great deal in advance,
Sure.
years, because the facilities change.
Yeah.
The staff, the ratings, I keep abreast of what's going on, what turnovers are. The financial status, I mean, we all know what went through with one of the competitors here and the financial issues there. So, I would say 3 to 6 months in advance is plenty. You don't want to do years in advance because that place may not be in existence.
And 20 new ones will be here.
Or whole new
Exactly.
staff. Janelle, why don't you explain what it's like to deal with you if you're looking at, somebody's looking at this place?
So typically I'll have someone either reach out to me, however I get the lead. I'll contact them, share some information, try to find out what it is they're looking for, whether it's independent living, assisted living, or memory care. We try to set up a tour, that way I can come and show you, physically walk you through to see what it would be like, see the apartments, the community areas, see activities happening so you can kind of see what a normal day is. So I want you to come in and see those things. And I always tell everybody, go out and tour several places because you're going to know within probably 10 minutes whether that's a good fit for you or not. Then you're just going to maybe appease whoever is touring you the rest of the time. But you get a feeling if this one is right for you. And they're all have all of us have our own little niche. So you've got the more modern type place, you've got the artsy place. And all of us together, between all of us, we'll find one of them that is the right fit for you. So I tell everybody, go around, tour several. And once you've narrowed it down, then go back and tour them again. Get that second look. And we're happy to provide resources. Even if you decide that I'm not the one for you, if you still call me and say, hey, I had a question. I'm still going to be there and find out the answer for you and try to lead you in the right direction. So I'm here to help. Obviously, I would love for you to be in my community, but I understand that everyone is different and mine is not going to be the perfect fit for everyone. I just hope that it is.
I also advise you to eat at the facilities. It's a good test.
One other thing I was going to bring up, the two of you, the adult daycare and in-home care. Okay,
I'm not home care, I'm geriatric.
Geriatric care, okay, all right. But what I was trying to find as far as, well, you cover with this. One of the things that I'm concerned about is also people don't understand what those roles can be. And caregivers, I just learned this, I took a Dementia Friends class, and you were the teacher, actually. Anyway, I took this Dementia Friends class and learned that several things that I wasn't aware of. One is that 1 in 6 millennials are full-time caregivers for an elder adult in the family. And I don't think anybody's really reaching out to them to communicate. But the other thing is that caregivers, 67% of the time die before the person that they're caring for because of all the stress that they're carrying themselves. And adult day is one of those places to get some respite. They can go to work. They can go, I just need to get out of, I need to go walk through Brown County for a day. Would you?
So the respite for caregivers is obviously an important thing, and we all are doing all this stuff, but what we sometimes forget is that by far and away, most caregiving is done by family members on an unpaid basis. All of us are making a living, doing things that are fee for service either from individuals or from government. But most caregiving is volunteer work that is done by family members. And if it wasn't for that, there wouldn't even be enough of us out there in the world to take care of folks. So that's a really important consideration. So any way that we can support caregivers is going to allow them to continue to carry out their role. And you're right, especially somebody who's caring for somebody who has a dementia diagnosis, because that is just a really, really difficult caregiving role. So you can use adult day services, you can use in-home services. a lot of our clients use both. They may come to the center 2 or 3 days a week and have somebody come to the home the other days a week. Sometimes they can use the paid caregiver to get the person up and ready and then transport them to the center, and then the family caregiver just needs to pick them up at the end of the day. So while there's a lot of ways all these services can work together, and that's one of the things I always like to promote when I'm on a panel, is that we may be doing different things, but we're not necessarily competing with one another. We're all sort of filling a niche, and a lot of us work together on probably almost a daily or weekly basis with the same clients, trying to work through different issues with them and come up with a plan that meets people's needs.
In the adult day world, do you provide any transportation services or?
Our program does not. Some programs do.
I think it's safe to say we would not be in this if you didn't have an empathetic heart and an understanding, and probably somewhere along the line experience where you learn. I mean, I had it with my father-in-law. My mother lived with us through chemo radiation, and you learn pretty quick that there's a lot to learn, but B, that it takes a special person to do it. At the end of the day.
Geriatric care manager, okay? I doubt a lot of people know what that is. You're probably about as weird and as the hospice is to the world, okay? I heard it the other day, it makes sense to me, because I come from a new home building background, that you're the general contractor, okay?
I'm the coordinator,
Yeah.
right. I coordinate the care, I supervise it. I make sure that the assistance that the client is receiving is appropriate, it's at the level that they need, and the companies are doing what they should be doing. I have 3 clients right now that are in skilled facilities. And I'm on the phone, I'm hounding, making sure. I have home care agencies with some of mine. Some are going absolutely wonderful, some were kicking butt, making sure. And at the same time, we're working with the clients to make the adjustments. They have attachments to things, even the silly rugs on the floor. I'd rather die than get rid of my oriental rug. And so you have to work with that. Well, you love this rug, let's put it on the wall so you can see it every day, but you're safe. You have to be creative and work with what they want and what they need.
And you want rugs now.
When you were talking about respite, I don't know that more people know that hospice actually does provide through Medicare a 5-day respite stay for individuals who want to take that trip to Brown County that are the caregiver for their loved one in the home, or for the caregiver of their spouse or their child or what have you. So hospice does pay for respite care, and it is a 5-day respite stay, and that's an unlimited truly type thing.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you deal with boarders?
Yes, that is a whole other level. There's several of us in this space that do what we do. We're the only ones that, a couple different things, we're the only ones of. One is we're the only ones that everyone that works with us is an actual employee. They've gone through a full background check because we know we're going to find goodies in your house. We want to make sure you get them, okay? We're going to find cash, we're going to find jewelry, we're going to find thieves, whatever. So we get, because we have those extra little checkpoints of safety, we get a lot of attorneys, a lot of guardianships, a lot of people that will, the courts that will order us to do the things. We just did a clean out in West Lafayette. It was stage 5. I had to go Google what stage 5 was and was terrified. But it was very eye-opening. I think all of us went home and cleaned our houses afterwards.
Stage 5 to them, I know, because
That's as bad as it gets. Okay.
There's mold and all sorts of nasty.
Well, let's just give you an idea. When we got there, we put the 2 skinniest people on the front door and the back door because you couldn't open the doors. So we had to have people who could reach in and clear out enough stuff that we could get the doors open to start working inside.
I'm going to fly over you.
But as an individual that is full of, a panel that is full of resources, you meet people where they're at.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
we don't walk in and judge them because that is not,
No,
that is not.
No, this gentleman had, this gentleman was, it was a court ordered situation, so we never met him. We heard the story. That was about it. Yeah.
They are.
It is, and it was very sad, but it was, and what was really interesting is you can still see his personality because he was very much a detailed person, he had been a professor, and his closet and his drawers were like he was military, it was perfect. The rest of the house had gotten out of control.
I have a client that, she had a phobia with mail, and so she would not open it, and it became 2 feet tall. And with that, the electrical bill wasn't paid, so electricity was turned off, the sump pump didn't pump, water built up, she had mold. So we were able to remove her from the home, we were able to clean it out, we were able to sell the home, but her phobia still continued. I was able to find a CPA that comes in and does bill paying. And she has a running graph of every penny she spent, all of her finances. This lady is one of the ladies that lost money. Oh my gosh, we have found so much lost money in the government system for her. And so there are resources out there that can help, but it was an eye-opener. Pretty common.
I have a question for you, Kevin.
Yes, he was, go ahead.
I'm in a situation where, and this is, I'm asking you a question because I've got a client with this issue.
Sure.
They are going to be moving into a facility, and the facility doesn't take their Humana Part D. So can they change it because it's open enrollment, or could they have changed it if it wasn't open enrollment?
If they qualify for extra help on the Part D, they can change it throughout the year.
Good.
So that would be one answer to it. And that change takes effect the first of the following month.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, generally, is people are signing up October 15th through December 7th for January effective. So that would be, that's my answer.
So, yeah, because if this person is eligible on 11/1, which is my goal, and they're in a facility that doesn't accept their Humana D, but if they're getting extra help, they can change, right?
Yes.
Okay,
They can
good.
change 4 and 11-1 actually, so you can get a switch.
Good. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a quick question. Occupational therapy done in a hospice setting. I know community hires occupational therapists to help clients kind of achieve their last goals in life. Do you incorporate occupational therapy?
Do you mean in the home or in a facility setting? We have individuals who do go to therapy in a facility setting. We don't have anybody at this time who goes into a home setting. It would kind of depend on, it's on a case-by-case basis of what those goals are and how we can help them and if we can meet their expectation. A lot of times when we're going in to meet hospice families, we encourage them to actually interview other people, to make sure that we're going to be able to meet their expectations. So if that was something that they were looking for right now, or we could hire someone to do that, just depending on how many visits that occupational therapist would be there, how long, and what the end goal was going to look like.
Do you find that, do you hire those? I guess I look at it as, my friend is an OT in hospice, she absolutely loves it. Because she is helping people, maybe it's walking their dog for the last time.
Oh, yeah.
So do you find that, is it hard to get that covered?
It is.
Okay. So that's probably the number one stumbling block.
Yes, because Medicare looks at that as a curative measure.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's not curative, it's quality.
Right.
And so as long as we can document to the quality of life that they are getting to walk their dog for the last time, or they are getting to, get down to the basement to go through all of their boxes or what have you, it would need to be documented in that manner.
And one other thing for Lucy, I've heard different things about probate. Some people are saying, oh, probate, it's not a big deal. Some people are saying, you're in probate. I don't know, what's your thought on, it might be someone not signing as a beneficiary, or what did I learn? Something about if you have something $50,000 or more.
Well, if an individual passes away and everything in their sole name is $50,000 less liens and encumbrances, that means net, all right, then by and large, they can administer those assets through what's known as a small estate affidavit, all right? Property can be sometimes done that way, but yeah, they can administer it through a small estate affidavit. If they have more than $50,000 in their sole name, hopefully they have a will, which says where they want it to go. If they don't, then they have an intestate probate estate, and it will pass according to the rules of intestacy in the Indiana Code under Section 29, which is the probate section.
And is that kind of a pain in the, I've heard sometimes a pain, and some people say it's not.
No, probate is as easy or as difficult as it is organized or disorganized. If we know what the assets are and we're not trying to find out what they are because no one had a listing of their assets or there wasn't any kind of documentation, you know, if we don't know, then we have to go look at it, and it takes longer and it's more costly, of course. If everything's organized, if we know that, you know, John Smith had a house, 2 cars, you know, an IRA, a brokerage account, and a checking and savings, and a money market. If we know that, we know what they are, we know the numbers, we list it in the probate documentation. We have to provide an inventory within a certain number of days after the probate estate is opened. If there are no claims against the estate, you can close the estate within 3 months. If there are claims, then you might have to deal with those claims, and then once those claims are paid off or in some way settled, you know, for less, then again, you can close it. But it just depends, and it depends on if you can find the beneficiaries, if you know who they are. We're in a case right now where a person died intestate. It was a complete mess. Someone tried to handle it, and they really didn't know what they were doing, and they were from out of state, and then we ended up with it, and this person died, and they had a mother who was alive, and 2 live siblings, and 1 dead sibling who had numerous children with different partners, and we're trying to find out how to reach them to even make a distribution. So if we don't have all the information, it is complex.
I'm glad you do that. I'm glad you
I know. But if it's organized, you know, if we know where everyone is, if we have their contact information, if we know what the assets are, it's not that difficult, you know? It just isn't.
Lucy, you mentioned estate planning and that you handle that. Other than the fact that you know what an estate is and you know what planning is, what the hell is it?
Well, it's a method. Estate planning is a method of transferring what you own to whom you wish it to go to in an organized fashion. That's really what it is. Now, there are all kinds of ways to make an estate plan. You can have wills. You can have wills that create trusts. You can have revocable living trusts. You can have irrevocable trusts. You can have asset protection trusts. You can have special needs trusts. You can have third-party supplemental needs trusts for disabled children or spouses. You can have first-party special needs trusts. I mean, there's, you name it. I could give you that vegetable alphabet soup of all the different kinds of trusts there. But there, you know, there's simple planning and complex planning. But one thing is for sure, if you don't have a plan, the state has a plan for you. And that's called the intestate probate estate under the code. And it can have results that you wish you might not have wanted. Here's an example. Years ago, I had a lady who called me up with her daughter. The daughter had been at her house going through some drawers. The husband had died 3 years ago. He had died intestate. Everything was in their joint name. transferred to the spouse by operation of law, meaning she was on his bank account, blah, blah, blah. However, daughter found 2 stock certificates in the drawer that mom obviously didn't know existed. One was in mom's name, one was in dad's name. WellPoint stock, $80,000 each. So the daughter got the money, mom got her $80,000, and then mom took the check for dad. She signed the back of the thing with his name, because that's what she always did, and went to the bank, and they said, we can't cash this check, he's dead. Where's the estate? We've got to put it in an estate account. You can't cash a check. She goes, well, he's my husband. Well, yeah, but he's dead. You can't cash a check. So we had to open up an intestate estate because he died without a will. And so under the probate code, she gets 50%, and the 3 daughters got 50%, divided by 3. 2 of the daughters said, well, that's really mom's money, so we're giving her the money back. And the third said, bye-bye, I'm keeping it. So the result wasn't perfect. And I said, well, why didn't you and your husband do wills? She said, well, I was afraid he was going to die. We're all going to die. We're all going to die.
Well,
Whether
you
you
don't
have a will or you don't have a will. It was as if doing a will was going to jinx her husband and make him die. But we're all dying. I mean, that's, you know.
I wish we could put a billboard up that said that, you know.
If
Whether or not you have us as services, we're all going.
Right.
We're not getting out of this alive.
We're not, yeah, we're saying, and those are my father's last words to me.
We're not getting out of this
We're not
alive.
getting out of this alive. And if you're organized, whether it's organized while you're through the aging process, or because you know you're gonna die and you have X assets and you want them to go to Y individuals, why not organize it? It makes life so much simpler, A, for you, the person, and B, for your family.
Yeah, survivors are going to
Yeah.
have to deal with it.
Yes.
You're gone.
My father was
You're
so
gone.
organized. He said, Lucy, that's the box. And he said, when I die, go to that box. Boom, everything was there. Simple as pie. The only thing I had to do was write the obituary, because my mother couldn't do that.
Because he was going to die if she did, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Organization is really the key to everything, and it's so easy to be organized. There's help everywhere.
But unfortunately, people do it in a crisis situation. You know,
Emotional thing.
all
It makes
situations,
it even worse.
yeah, all decisions when it comes to resources.
And when it's last minute, when it's crisis, it's pressure on you, pressure on people who provide services, pressure on finances. Last minute is just, it's difficult.
And to top it off that, last minute crisis typically means your family members are the one that are gonna choose where you're going, not you.
And what's happening to you.
Right.
And then choice goes out the window.
Exactly right, yep.
Is it best to have everything joint
Well, that depends.
or separate, you know?
That's an interesting question, because if you have joint assets with a spouse, they will pass to that spouse by operation of law. Or if you have beneficiary designated assets, they will pass by operation of law. Sometimes that's good. There are other times when that's not good. For instance, if my husband and I are married, we have everything joint, but if I die and my husband has all my assets and we have 3 children, and which we don't, but if we did, and then I would want some of what we had together to go to my children, but then he gets married 3 years later, and then he has everything joint with his new spouse, guess what? He dies, she gets everything, my kids get zippo. Not a good outcome.
Don't get another husband.
But you can't guarantee that.
It took me 10 years to convince her to marry me.
Any other questions? Yes.
I'm an only child. I live 3 hours away from my dad. My wife's parents just moved how do we help them from afar? Because if they start talking to somebody where we're at, where they're at, how does that work?
But from our perspective, from the moving and packing and sorting and what have you, Carrying Transitions has 300 franchises across the country. So if they're not in a rural area, you probably have a sister franchise. With that, if you want to move them home, okay, you need them closer to you, which I would recommend. You could have a Carrying Transition franchise go down there, do the sort, pack. If it's a memory care issue, they can do the photographs so that when they come up here, we can replicate what they have and we pick up the ball, or vice versa. That's that. I'll let y'all.
I belong to the National Association, and so we have geriatric care managers throughout the country. And, I'd be happy to connect you with the website or connect you with an individual care manager in those areas.
We do it well now, we have grants this year that may lead in that direction, so.
Those are big decisions too.
Those are big decisions.
And they definitely have impact on your life too.
I'm a member of Elder Council, which is an organization of elder law attorneys across the country. And if someone, if I help someone here, but then their mother-in-law lives in Florida or Georgia, I could just go on and say, give me your zip code, and I'll look in a 50-mile radius for an elder law attorney. I'll just send you the list, and you call them up.
I had a similar situation with my dad in Arizona, and we found someone who does what he does. It was amazing. I was telling him, because my sister and I flew out there, he picked us up at the airport, we went to a place, and it was amazing. The difference, because here, we didn't know that it existed, and my sister and I were running around like crazy people.
Well, you have another thing going with that too, because with RE/MAX, you have a referral network with RE/MAX taking us literally in 120 countries, so that's not hard to find people. So, yeah.
And with hospice organizations, we normally call and interview them over the phone. If someone is looking, they call. We have people who contact us all the time, hey, can you give us a good suggestion or a good referral, or do you have anyone that you know of? Because we're just in Indiana, we call and do those interviews, knowing what the family is looking for.
Anybody else? Anything that anything else to say?
Very common. Very, very often, more times than not, I'm dealing with the kids and mom is living in another state. What I always say is have the kids come and do the touring and narrow it down until you've got just a couple, then bring the parents in. You do all the legwork and the hard stuff firsthand.
That's what I got Dave for.
Right, but it's way too overwhelming for a lot of them to come and do too many tours, because then everything's bleeding together and they don't remember what's what. So I would definitely suggest you narrow it down to a more manageable amount first.
Anybody else? Anybody here have something you want to say you haven't had a chance to say? Well, we're down to the 5:30 mark, so we actually have done right on time. So